Discovering Insert Wine Here. We love making new discoveries about wines, so we thought we would share some of that with you. We will be rolling out a new subscription series called Discovering Insert Wine Here. Each month, we will choose a wine to discuss and pair and do a live Zoom with our subscribers. Now, when I say wine, we will keep this simple, but it will be something that you can find locally or order. During our Zoom, you will learn about the wine, the style, and the region. Then we will taste, pair, and share our thoughts. I'll finish with the recipe to show you how simple making the dish can be. If you can't join us live, we will share the recording so you can watch it later. Discovering Insert Wine Here.
I'm going to go back and talk really briefly about the grazing board, and then we'll talk a little bit more about how the flavors pair for you guys between your wines and things. So the pairing board that I put together and that I sent you guys the information on, we did pecans, Humboldt fog cheese. Is everybody familiar with Humboldt fog cheese? Has anybody had that before? It's one that they do the morning milk in the bottom. They do a layer of ash and then the evening milk in the top. So that's why you see the line down the center of it. It's a blue style cheese, so it's got a lot of funk on it, and it's really, really delicious. Anyway, look for that in the store. They have it in a lot of the grocery stores lately. If you've got the Murray's cheese counter, definitely they'll have it. Also, berry jam, which I think several of you mentioned having things with berries in them. The seaweed snacks or nori, which I find has this really, got that unctuous salty thing to it, that umami note that I think goes really, really well with Syrah. We did flavored salts, some Borsallo, and Borsallo is just the beef version of prosciutto, basically. The Gouda, as we mentioned, cherries, balsamic vinegar. So like a balsamic vinegar and oil that you might dip bread into would go really nicely with this. Dried cranberries, salami, figs. These are Turkish figs that we got, so they're kind of the blonde ones, but the fresh, dark ones would be delicious with the Syrah also. Blackberries, prosciutto, Parmigiano Reggiano, the dark chocolate. And like I said, that one's kind of a controversial thing. Some people like chocolate with red wine and some people don't. There's also rosemary and bacon, of course, which is my very, very favorite pairing with Syrah, black olives, and then we had a Gruyere. So those were the things we put on ours. And we all kind of shared what we had paired before, but as you're tasting with things, what are you finding that you like best? Now we're going to talk a little bit about how I put together a pairing. We've done the grazing platter, so that's pretty easy. You pick the flavors and you put them all down. When you're coming up with a recipe, it's a little different. You're trying to pull from all of those different things. And I do it a couple different ways. Sometimes I will open the wine or Corvin the wine and take a little sip and figure out what I'm getting off of it. But a lot of times I cheat and I go to the website and I look up what their tasting notes say, or I read the shelf talkers as I'm going through the store. Or I look up somebody else's review on it to see what they thought, what notes they were getting. And then I pull from those things to put my recipe together. This wine that's on the screen right now is a 2018 Catherine. It's from the Walla Walla Valley, but it's actually from the Rocks District. So it's just across the border in Walla Walla on the Oregon side. And it's made by XOBC, which is Brandy Carlisle's winery. And this wine came to me. It was it was gifted to me by a gentleman that was in my study group for the WSET 3 when I was taking that certification for my wine certification. We started talking online and he was in love with Rocks District and asked if I had tasted anything from there. And at the time I had not. So he sent me 3 bottles of wine from XOBC, which is a private winery, and you have to be a member or visit there in order to get the wines there. So it was very, very sweet. And the wine was spectacular. When we were pairing this, I wanted to do something special with it. And so I went to their website to see what their description was. And their description is pretty phenomenal too. So let me bring this up and read it to you. Dark red, decadent fruit reach you with an exotic and perfumed distinctive depth. Pomegranate, Sun-warmed blackberries, ripe plum are all concentrated with bacon fat and the scent of the morning's first cup of coffee. Immensely complex, this bold wine boasts Aleppo pepper and olive with classic rocks funk. Catherine is the true headliner, which Catherine is actually her wife. So again, saying Catherine is the headliner when Brandi Carlile is the singer, that's kind of one of her things too. So kind of cool. But the wine was delicious. And so the pairing that I put together for that was buffalo strip loins and a coffee blackberry Syrah pan sauce, roasted red mashed potatoes with herbs, bacon, and bacon fat, and an arugula salad with plum, pomegranate, thyme, and prosciutto, and a coffee balsamic dressing. So how did I get to those things? Well, the buffalo was inspired by the fact that I think of Brandi Carlile as modern Americana. And when I think of Americana, I think of buffalo. Buffalo roaming the ranges and all those old paintings of that. And I went to the store and they had buffalo. And I thought, that's what I'm going to use for my protein. So we picked up buffalo, the buffalo strip loin for the main protein in the dish. The blackberry and coffee pan sauce were again pulled from that flavor profile that I had read, as were the bacon and the bacon fat and the potatoes. And the salad pulled into the pepper notes with the arugula, and the plum and pomegranate and the coffee balsamic were all again pulled from the recipe profile. So this is a picture of the dish. You can see the pan sauce is up in the little pitcher. We hadn't poured it over yet. And I always kind of laugh because my mashed potatoes look like stuffing in this picture, but it's because they're the roasted red potatoes and we left the skins on with them. But they were absolutely delicious. And this recipe is in the list that I sent you. So if any of you want to give it a try, you've got the information for that there. The next pairing that I want to talk to you about goes with that whole chocolate and red wine thing. And it also takes us back to Codin that we saw before up in Roskamp Vineyards. This was a pairing that we did with his Syrah from Roskamp Vineyards. And it's basically black cherry ice cream sandwiches. I did the cookies for the outside of the ice cream sandwiches and I just bought the ice cream. But the cookies actually are like a cocoa with espresso powder in them. And the espresso powder that you put in there kind of really pulls out the chocolate notes in it. This is one of those pairings that I know we did a pairing for dinner that night that was good, but it wasn't anything compared to this. Like this blew me away. And when I think of a pairing, this is the first pairing that always comes to mind because I was in absolute heaven. So this next one is basically about Syrah and barbecue, which barbecue with Syrah is amazing. This barbecue, we went Hawaiian style. So we've got some Kailua pig here and then lau lau to go with it, which you can see the styrofoam container in the background. I did not dig an emu in the backyard and grill, roast my own Kailua pig. There's plenty of terrific Hawaiian restaurants in town, thank goodness. So we picked that up to go with a Local 41 Walla Walla Valley Syrah. This is from their Seven Hills Vineyard, which is actually, again, just on the Oregon side of the Walla Walla border. It's a beautiful big vineyard out there. And Local number 41 is a great brand to pick up. They've got a lot of wines that are nationally distributed. But if you get up there, go visit them in their tasting room, which is the schoolhouse that you see on the label, which is why they're called Local number 41. So it's a beautiful schoolhouse and they have the different classrooms turned into different rooms for events and things in the tasting room. It's a very fun place. So now on to two of the recipes that I sent you. One of these we did with a tasting this past summer. Miss Julia, you were here for that one.
Yes, I was.
And this is basically an elevated PB&J. So PB&J, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, go really well with Syrah. You get that saltiness from the peanut butter. You get the fruit from the jelly. So it's really kind of a good pairing. We decided to kick it up a notch. So this pairing, we'll go through the ingredients for it. It's peanut butter, smooth peanut butter, grape jelly, brown sugar, whipping cream. Here's where we come into the cream again, Eric. White bread, mint, thyme, bacon, and black pepper. So you start out, it's a couple different things that you put together and then you organize it all in the end and assemble it. So the grape jelly, this is just Welch's. We just got Welch's grape jelly. And I melted some of it in a pan and added some fresh thyme to it. You could add dried thyme too. The whole idea behind this is that you're just infusing the thyme into the grape jelly. So melt it until it's all integrated and then let it cool down again. Then candy the bacon. So The bacon, I always put foil on the bottom of the pan because that's going to help you with cleanup afterwards. I stick a metal rack on top of the pan. To keep my bacon manageable, I cut the strips in half and then sprinkle on the top some brown sugar and some fresh cracked pepper. And then you put it in the oven for at 425 for about 20 to 25 minutes. But with the brown sugar, it'll burn really quickly once it gets to the right point. So keep your eye on it as you're cooking it. To toast the bread, I cut the bread into small little rounds because we were putting them into small spoons for the tasting, but you can make them as big as you want. Brush both sides with olive oil, put it onto a foil lined sheet and stick it in the broiler. And again, watch them because they'll burn in half a heartbeat, as I can attest to with many burned bread in the past. I'm well known for burning toast. We had to buy a toaster finally. We had gone without one for a while, but I kept burning too many things in the oven. Then you're going to go ahead and make the peanut butter whipped cream. Now, I used a sugar-free peanut butter for this. So it was just, actually, I think it was from Gilcrease. So it was one of their peanut butters. It was a smooth peanut butter. Put a little bit of that in there and the whipping cream, and mix it up in a stand mixer until it forms stiff peaks. Then you're going to assemble it, putting the toast round on the bottom, adding the bacon and a little bit of the jelly with the thyme in it, and then a dollop of the peanut butter whipped cream, or if you're fancy, you can get out a piping bag and do it fancy on top, and then finish it with a sprig of fresh mint. So that's our first dish. And Miss Julia had asked me specifically for the zucchini dish so that we get something that doesn't have the sweetness in it. So this is a great pairing that you can do which doesn't have all those things in it. So it starts with zucchini on the bottom. I brush it with olive oil on both sides, a little salt and pepper. I have a wrought iron grill pan here at home that I can stick on my stove so I can get those lovely grill marks. But even if you just have a frying pan that you're putting it in, you can cook it that way. Then it gets a little piece of bacon on top. You can do the candied bacon if you want, but you don't need to do the candied bacon. A little bit of dill, and then a blackberry, a fresh blackberry. So you get that explosion of fresh fruit in your mouth, the juice in your mouth, along with the saltiness. And then rather than bread, you've got the zucchini on the bottom. And I did have several people made it in the last one too. One of my professors from college had decided to make it, and she didn't find dill. You could also do like thyme with this or rosemary with this, which would go very nicely.
As we are fine-tuning the subscription details for the next couple months, we invite you to join us for free. If you're interested in joining us, email me at robin@42aspens.com and I'll send you the details.